Hey, good day everybody, and welcome back to the Air Warfare Group. This is Juice. So in today's DCS video, we're going to be talking about Fighter Alert. This is going to be part 3 of 3, the final in the series on Fighter Alert. And this is mostly going to cover how to set up your fighters in the mission editor for which air bases you're going to use and stuff like that. So I am going to use the SYRIA map today, and I'm going to pick two air bases. I'm going to use Ramat David, and I'm going to use H4 over in Jordan. H4 is over near the Iraqi border, and it's where Jordan kind of sticks out like a little thumb right there, right below Syria, right below Iraq. And we're going to use two different examples on the Jordanian base, and then we'll use one example on the Israeli base. So in this setup right here, let's go in and we'll go F2. Alright, so if let's say you have an F-16 on alert. In this F-16 has got two bags, and the reason I have two bags on it is this is an F-16 that I would use if my alert posture was at a base that was farther away from the intercept zone. If you're going to go and have an alert force that's on hot alert, that are hot cocked alert, and they're going to be in their hardened aircraft shelters real close to where you expect to intercept, you're probably going to only have one bag because you're going to go out, intercept, and then you're going to return after meeting the bandit or bogeys, and somebody else is going to come up and relieve you to take your shift. So this right here is depicting a jet that would be a little farther off, maybe the sustaining jet that comes up after the initial response. Now this jet is a initial response jet. This is what I would do if I was going to run a close to the FIBA or close to the border intercept zone response jet, and this was what I would set up as a loadout. I'd have 4 AIM-120s and 2 AIM-9s and a single bag of gas. And you would think, well, why not go with 2 bags of gas and an ECM pod? Well, in the air-to-air environment, the ECM pod's not really needed that much, not as much as if you're going into a seed environment or with a lot of missile threats from the ground. So I just run this as an initial response. We have other jammers that can help us out, but this is mostly to recognize the threat and respond to it as quickly as possible. Now, a lot of people might say, do we need to do this all over the place? Well, I'll tell you this. If you have alert forces in the real world set up and the enemy knows you have alert forces, that acts as a deterrent. They're not going to be able to just walk over and come across your border and say, hey, we're going to attack you or anything like that. And so this is that one. This is the second F-16. And then the F-15 that I have set up with the Israeli Air Force is the over here at Ramat David. Now let me go back to the F-10 map and I'll show you Ramat David real quick. Before we leave that, let's go back to H4. In H4, you'll notice that there are two loops at each end, which are perfect for alert pads to put in. Let's go ahead and go to altimeter. There you go. See, they're in their hardened shelters where they can turn on or start up the engines, taxi, and take off right there. Typically, the facility that leads to the alert is pretty close, where the pilots would be in their comfortable shelter, sometimes on alert in their G suits, and they would come running out. Now, it's up to you if you want to put your aircraft AI or clients, if you want to have them hot start or cold start. It's totally up to you. If I was going to run a mission with this as my alert base, being this close to the Iraq border and this close to the Syrian border, I would go ahead and put them as jump in hot. You can go ahead and go through the startup, but remember, if you're going to do an alert response with an F-16 in the real world, your airplanes are going to be turned off, and you're going to be going out there and doing a 10-minute alignment and all that kind of good stuff. So that's where the facility would be, where we would run out. Let's go back to map. Let's go to satellite. So this facility would have trucks parked. We'd be backed in. Pilots, when I was in Korea and we did alert for against the North Korean threat, we had our pilots were wearing their G suits during the day. So they had their G suits on. If we got a call saying, hey, there's something going on, they would throw their harnesses on and everything like that. Sometimes they would leave their harness in the aircraft hooked up and just leave the straps open. They would climb in it. They'd have it adjusted already, and then they'd climb in the aircraft, put their harness on, then put the seatbelt on, and then the crew chief would hook up their parachute risers to the seat. Oh no, I correct that. they would actually be hooked to the parachute risers. The seat would still be safe, but there would be no pins in it. It would just have the safety lever, and the seat would be in the safe position. Now let's go back to the F-15 real quick. So at Ramat David, I was unable, I'm going to contact ED about this, because I was unable to put alert birds in these flow-throughs right here. These are parking, let's go back to the end of the runway. Right here, these right here were starting points right there, these hangars, that I have parking spots in them, but I was unable to put anything in them. And then I was unable to put anything in these hard covers right here, which show parking spaces in those protected shelters right there below in the lower screen. I wasn't able to put anything on that too. So it's kind of a I don't know if it's by design, or I'm going to check that out. So let's go back to the F-15. In the F-15, I have 2 bags. I've got 2 heaters and 6 AMRAAMs. And I've got nothing on the center line, not even a pylon down there. Most of the F-15s I saw without a centerline tank flew without the pylon. Now, if you look at the thumbnail that I used for this video, that's a picture I took in 1984 in Korea at Osan Air Base. You'll see that we have a centerline tank, and then we have the full wings with missiles. We have 4 heaters and 4 AIM-7 Sparrows. And that configuration was typical. When I went to 10 years later, I was stationed at Kunsan, where the F-16s got the slammer, and we were picking up the AIM-120 alert commitment, and the F-15s didn't have to come to Korea again. The F-16s that we had 2 bags, because Kunsan is a lot farther south, and it allows to get airborne and have more gas to get up to the fighting area. So those are some of the considerations for what you would want to do for your loadouts. Again, this is just for the air assets. It's up to you if you want to put them in as hot start, cold start. If you want to put them in as AI, you can also set up triggers, so you can have it triggered so if an enemy aircraft crosses a certain zone or enters a zone, that it will alert your forces. You can have missions where your AI go out and do your alert. It's much more fun if you get your buddies together and do it like that. Don't take this as the authority on alert posture. This is just sharing a little bit of experience what I had growing up in the Air Force. And again, if you go back to the F-10 map, all of these places have facilities where you can set up alert missiles, Patriot batteries, or any type of Hawk air defense, whatever you want to put in there that's available for that period in the mission. So I hope you like this video, and I hope you like the series. Be sure to leave questions. I would gladly try to answer those as much as I can in my limited knowledge on real-world operations today. I've been out 20 years, and what I'm sharing is basically off a history of working, from 20 and 30 and 40 years ago. This has been Juice. We hope you like all the series videos that we're doing right now, and stay tuned for more. Take care.